On to Israeli politics now. Jared Kushner's two-day conference in Bahrain may have wrapped up, but it will likely have an impact on any talk of Mideast peace in Washington. I-24 News Washington correspondent Shayna Estulin sat down with top Democratic and Republican strategists who also happen to be Jewish for a conversation on the conference and relations between the U.S. and Israel.
Let's start with the peace plan because the Bahrain workshop is going on. You're a Democratic strategist. I think it's fair to say you're not a giant fan of Donald Trump, but even if you don't like him, don't you want him to succeed at this?
In this one instance, of course, I want the peace plan to succeed. Now, I'm not optimistic either, right? If we're being serious, we really do need a political framework before that investment can actually make its way to improving the lives of Palestinians.
Of course, I think there's an opportunity for success. The whole peace team deserves significant credit for it. Is trying to say, hey, we're going to take a look at this in a completely different way, in a way that, you know, we're going to try and learn from past administrations' failures.
Can we talk about the U.S.-Israel relationship, given that both of you guys are political strategists, but also Jewish issues are a big concern for both of you? Israel's sort of become a controversial topic in some Democratic circles. What happened?
On the far left, Israel is controversial, unfortunately. Look, I know Matt's going to jump in and with his favorite two members of Congress. What I will say, you know, they've said a lot of things that are anti-Israel. I've condemned them. A lot of leading Jewish Democrats have condemned them. But when it comes to making policy for the Democratic Party, they're just not at the table.
I do want to jump in, and I will not even take the easy softball in talking about Representative Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib, because that's too easy. That's too easy. But to take issue with one of the things that Aaron said, which I think is important, you know, is he's trying to marginalize the anti-Israel thread that's taking hold in the Democratic Party as being somehow a creature of the far left. One only has to look at the mainstream candidates running for president.
If Israel is truly the only democracy in the Middle East, shouldn't people be allowed to criticize the Israeli government?
I think the people who can legitimately criticize the Israeli government are the Israeli people and the democratic process that brings their elected officials to office.
The Democrats have become an anti-Israel party. They've become an anti-Jewish party.
For anyone to say the Democratic Party is anti-Jewish is just unconscionable.
Couldn't you argue we're seeing some of that in the Republican Party too, when you've got Steve King, who has a history of making pretty troubling remarks around white nationalism?
The first thing that Leader McCarthy did in taking over, the first decision he made was to strip Steve King of every one of his committee assignments. The last time I checked, Ilhan Omar was still sitting on the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
When it comes to the policymaking of Democratic Party, when it comes to whoever the president is going to be, it's not going to be Tlaib or Omar as Secretary of Defense or as ambassador to Israel.
Are Jews leaving the Democratic Party? Is that really happening? Is there a Jewish exodus or a Jexodus?
There is no question they are, and I will make, and Aaron and I have gone back and forth on Twitter on this. I have a bet with Aaron.
Well, we have you in person,
and
so even better.
We have a bet. I will absolutely guarantee, this is Babe Ruth pointing at the outfield, that Donald Trump will do better among Jewish voters in 2020 than he did 2016.
No, I don't think Jews are leaving the Democratic Party. I think the Jewish community knows who Trump is. There's a big difference between being pro-Israel and being pro-Bibi. I think if you talk to a lot of Democrats, a lot of U.S. Jews, and a lot of people in Israel, as we can see from the last election, there is deep and broad disapproval of the way Bibi is handling his premiership.
This relationship is going to continue to thrive and prosper. It may have speed bumps and hiccups along the way, like we saw under President Obama, but I think under the underlying foundation is strong and will continue to be strong.
That was our Washington correspondent, Shayna Estulin.